G'day there guys, changing your pessimistic views to optimistic ones and vice versa. It's Markee here and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, smash that like button and tell me what you think of these ones down in the comments. Posted by user WaterBatra, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend she's not healthy? My girlfriend has been working on improving her health and skin, and one of the things she's doing is trying to drink enough water each day. I don't keep track of it, but she seems to be doing pretty well. I always see her drinking water. But the issue is, she still drinks a can of soda once a week or so, sometimes less. I noticed her drinking one today, and I pointed it out, and I was like, I thought you were trying to be healthier. And she got annoyed at me and told me that she is, and I should be proud because she used to drink at least a can a day. And I took the soda from her and said she is not healthy until she stops it 100%, otherwise her quote-unquote efforts to be healthy are literally useless. Now she's ticked off at me that I won't let her have this one thing, and she claims it's not that bad. I'm just trying to help her, and I feel like she needs some tough love. Sure, it's just a few sodas a month, but those few sodas are cancelling out all of her efforts. So at the end of the day, she's still unhealthy as F. I'm actually considering going through the fridge and tossing out the soda while she's at work. It's risky, but honestly for the best. Am I the a-hole? Yikes, dude. That's all I gotta say, yikes. Since when is it okay to control her habits like that? She's taken it upon herself to cut cans down to once a week, and you get up her when you see that one can. I can't imagine how you'd react if she tried to do the exact same to you. You, my dude, would be all like, you can't control what I drink and what I eat. I'm allowed to do what I want with my body. I can't imagine that there would be any double standard here because you sound like a perfectly sane individual, OP. Just kidding, you're the a-hole. Where to begin? 1. You're the a-hole for monitoring what your girlfriend eats. It's not your job to monitor her and back the F off. 2. You're the a-hole for spreading false health advice. There is nothing wrong with having a soda a week when she's drinking water for the rest of the week. In fact, it's super unhealthy to take a totalitarian approach with food, where it's all or nothing. She should be able to eat dessert every now and then, and soda counts. 3. You're the a-hole for only focusing on her indulgence and not her success. 4. You're the a-hole for claiming that her health efforts are useless if she has one soda, which is literally not true. 5. You're the a-hole for considering throwing out her stuff while she's at work. And 6. You're the a-hole for thinking any of this is in any way your business. In conclusion, you're the a-hole. Edit to add, 7. You're the a-hole for taking a can of soda from your girlfriend. You don't get to take stuff away from her. That behavior is downright abusive. You're the a-hole. Policing and denying food under the claim of being concerned for her health? Nah, you're just an a-hole. It doesn't matter if the one soda a month is unhealthy. You aren't her dad or prison guard. How dare you take it away from her? Posted by user TemporaryPut3649, titled, Am I the a-hole if I quote-unquote create conflict by forcing my mother-in-law to apologize to my child? My 7-year-old is not biologically mine or my significant other's. I have raised him since he was 1 and met my significant other when he was 2. The issue is with my mother-in-law. Although she makes sure that she buys all the grandchildren the same things, I feel like she treats my child different than her bio grandkids. To her, everything my child does is wrong, and everything the other grandkids do is cute and funny, even when they're cussing or talking back, etc., which my child never does. So yesterday, we are over her house, and all the kids had a bag of candy. The bio kids ate theirs pretty quickly, but my kid went back and forth from eating it to playing. Well, my mother-in-law tells him that he had enough candy for the day, and took it from him, which I didn't know until we were about to leave. As we're getting ready to go, my child asks if he can get the candy to take with him. I said yes, of course. Mother-in-law sees him getting the candy and starts yelling at him that she told him that he couldn't have any more. I told her that I said he could get it and he wasn't trying to eat it anyway. Instead of just letting it go and admitting she was wrong, she continues to yell that she told him not to do it. My significant other gets upset and starts yelling and arguing with her about how she always treats our child different. I pointed out that on Easter, my child left his candy at her house, and she yelled at him about how he needed to remember his stuff. And when he tries to do that, he still gets in trouble. He cannot win with her. She then calls my child over, I'm assuming to apologize, but no, and tells him that he can't have candy at her house because he always gets her in trouble. This isn't the first instance of this, and little stuff like this has happened for years. She always says she doesn't treat them differently because she buys them all the same things, but she is always playful with the other kids and stern with my child. They could all do the same things, and my child will be the only one called out. Even though my significant other agrees with me about this, he always wants to make up with her right away and smooth things over, but nothing gets resolved. I, on the other hand, feel like she doesn't need to be around my child, and we should all ignore her until she apologizes, not just for what she did yesterday, but acknowledges what she does in general and apologizes for how she treats him to him. My significant other feels like I'm being an a-hole for handling it that way, and that it will make the situation worse and create more conflict. But I'm just tired of it. So, am I the a-hole? Edits. A lot of people are assuming that this has been going on since he was 2. I probably should have made a few things clearer. We did not live in the same state as significant other's family until almost 2 years ago. Hence, saying it's happened for years. And all communication before then was over the phone and video chat, and the few times that we would go visit. Nothing abnormal occurred during those times. We still go months without seeing mother-in-law at times. I didn't really notice any unsettling behavior prior to this year, but after I began noticing, I looked back and noticed more and more subtle things that didn't feel right that had occurred in the past. Since we noticed, when we see something we don't like, we do immediately call it out and put an end to it right then and there, of course. And usually months later, the behavior reappears. I guess this one could very much be hard to approach and fix because your husband keeps pussyfooting around the issue and wanting to smooth things over with the mother-in-law constantly. He's an a-hole for continuing to enable that behavior that's really not healthy for the kid. It just seems like it's going to slowly impact the child psychologically and just attack him over time. You're a good mother for wanting to hit the brakes on her behavior, and if you need to take the child away from her for a while, for like a long time until he can separate normality from not normality, i.e. her treatment, then I probably would do that myself. If you have to create more conflict in order for your child to be in a healthy state of mind, I wouldn't say that you're the a-hole for doing that. Your child comes first, and everyone else is second to that. So, not the a-hole. Quite candidly, I'm not sure what you think an apology is going to achieve. You're exposing your kid to regular emotional abuse. Your mother-in-law mouthing an apology at him isn't going to fix the situation. If your significant other wants to spend time with his mother, that's his choice. But I'm not seeing how being around this woman is healthy or worthwhile for you or your kid. I mean, even just having significant others spend time with mum is kind of a betrayal on the kiddo's part. Can you imagine when kid gets old enough to realize, this lady is supposed to be my grandmother, but she treats me like crap. She treats cousins like they walk on water, and my parents still thought that it was okay to have a relationship with the person that abused me. You shouldn't do that to your child. I mean, I agree the significant other shouldn't have a relationship with the mum, but at the same time, significant other is an adult who needs to make that decision himself. All OP can really do is say me and my kid are staying away. They can ask the significant other to do so as well, but can't force him to cut contact. Not the a-hole, please stand up for your kid. They notice and they will remember. Maybe some distance from her isn't a bad idea. Please don't put your kid back into this situation. He saw the confrontation and heard these words. What would you and your significant other be communicating by bringing him back into the same situation? Everyone sucks here, not the a-hole. It's cruel for OP to let her child be subjected to this regularly. An apology doesn't mean anything from her at this point. He's just a child. Don't sit back while someone treats him like crap to keep the peace. It makes me sick thinking about an innocent child being bullied like OP is describing. I totally agree. I had similar crappy grandparents, and their actions hurt me. But what hurt the most, and is the hardest for me now, is that my parents didn't protect me. As an adult, I understand that my parents both came from abusive households, and it wouldn't have been easy for them to stand up to my grandparents. But emotionally, it still hurts. It's something I'm addressing in therapy at the age of 30. OP shouldn't assume her kid will just get over this on his own or won't be bothered by it. Posted by user SnooChickens1099. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not telling the couple I slept with about my genetic disability? Let me first ask y'all to leave your kink shaming at the door. I got enough from the first lawyer that I talked to. This isn't lewd erotica, so I'll keep this simple. I was born with a genetic disability. You can't tell from looking at me, but it was very challenging growing up. So much so, I vowed myself never to have children. I bet you can already see where this is going. A few years back, I met a couple on OkCupid that were looking for a third. They swore to me up and down that the girlfriend was on birth control. We all exchanged recent clean STD results, and the rest is an exercise left up to the reader. We meet on and off for a few months until they went no contact. Honestly, it happens all the time with couples, no biggie. That is, until I get a phone call from them back in July demanding that I give them $5,000 for my daughter's special home aid because money is tight now. They had muddled through some explanation of how we had an oopsie baby and the husband doesn't have the gene, if 23andMe is to be believed, so it must come from me. I told them there wasn't a chance and blocked them on my cell and social media. Now I'm getting fake one-day-old accounts posting on my wall that I'm a deadbeat dad, and some of my supposed friends have responded asking for more information. I don't plan to pay up, but I wonder if this all could have been avoided if I told them like, hey, just in case, I have this crappy recessive gene, or something, I don't know. Am I the a-hole for not telling them? I really want to give this one a not the a-hole judgment because, that's the risk associated with this type of activity and this behavior. But the fact that you went into this relationship and you knew that was a risk, even if they swore black and blue that they were on birth control, the risk was still there regardless. And I do feel like you, knowing you were never wanting to have kids, should have told them because they had kids and look what happened. I feel like their behavior to continually attack you and ask you for money, it's not warranted, that's for sure. It is definitely not warranted, but it's understandable why they're doing it. I think everyone sucks here in this situation, and I would keep a lawyer very tight to myself if I was in this situation like you are, OP. This is why you wrap it before you tap it. Hell, even with birth control and a condom, people can still end up with a bun in the oven. Also, lock down your social media accounts and contact a lawyer or some crap, I guess. Everyone sucks here. You're an adult, act like one. A lawyer and a paternity test might be worth looking into for OP. Also, dude needs to learn to put a casing on his sausage if he's doing these casual flings. No, if OP doesn't want kids, then he should get the cut. No point blaming others if he is definite about not wanting kids. If they keep the kid and it's his, he should at least pay child support. Only if the husband didn't accept being on the birth certificate, otherwise the kid was basically adopted by him without OP's consent, that is. I feel like I've read enough legal advice on here to know that that's actually not the case, that the husband will be the father. If she didn't have birth control, then this was a form of reproductive coercion. Can't blame OP for doing that. You're the a-hole. Why didn't you get a vasectomy if you realized you didn't want kids? You're going to be on the hook for child support if this pregnancy is legit. Because doctors don't regularly allow that because you are young and you'll change your mind. Also, doctors are more willing to do a vasectomy because it's reversible. More willing than almost 0% chance, depending on the area you live in, are not actually good odds at getting one. I don't know, maybe I don't have the legalities right with the reproductive coercion there, but I'm sure he has it figured out if he gets a lawyer on his side for this one. Posted by user Admirable Horse 8784, titled, "Am I the a-hole for allowing a dad to humiliate his son in my class?" I teach 5th grade, which is usually a hit or miss in terms of behavior. I have one student, Calvin, who is quite disruptive. He's the class clown, except it's not cute. The other day, he climbed on top of the tables in the library and started dancing when he thought I was not looking. I've tried different ways to work around it, but I feel like I can no longer be Mr. Nice Guy. I assumed that his parents spoil him, so I was hesitant to talk to them because that seemed like a lost cause. The kid had his own driver. Boy, was I wrong. I did speak to his dad, who was furious. He brought him to me and apologized. He said if he ever got a bad report like he did with the library, then he would sit with him in class like he was a baby. That threat seemed to get Calvin's attention, but seemed empty. I mean, the dude doesn't even have time to drop his kid off at school. Things were fine for a while. Then he started up with purposefully giving stupid answers when I called on him. I pulled him to the side and asked him if he wanted his dad to babysit him in school, and he said no, because his dad wouldn't do it because it would embarrass him. So I emailed his dad, and he asked if he could sit with him in his class. Calvin didn't know what was going to happen and kept telling his dad to go. His dad stayed with him all day, and Calvin hated it. He micromanaged, bossed, and snapped at him all day. I think the worst part was having his friends laugh at him. Calvin did cry a few times. His dad was like the boss from hell. Ever since then, his behavior has improved. And I know people will ask why I wasn't more hands-on with discipline. This is a 25 to 35k a year private school. A lot of the parents are famous entertainers, and there's a long list to get in. Things are very different than a public school. Edits. For people saying I don't understand Calvin, or he needs a male role model or whatever, I get boys like him, because I was a 10-year-old boy myself. It is not difficult at all for me to relate to the boys in my class, because I remember what my interests and problems were at that age. I take an interest in them, and they take an interest in me. Especially my tattoos when I wear a polo. There are things that I know about these kids that their parents don't. However, I am not their psychologist, and Calvin doesn't need a psychologist. He's 10 and hitting puberty, and his brain is going haywire. And you're damn right, I was thrilled that Dad stepped in. I came out looking like the good guy and did less work. I don't know with this one. I feel like it's you're the a-hole judgment, because you as the teacher are supposed to lead the class and be the one to step in. I would have died inside if it was me, like personally in this situation. Everyone's different, everyone views situations differently. Just because you were 10 years old once, OP, and you knew what it was like, doesn't mean you know what it's like to be this kid in this family, and what it meant for the dad to come in, and how that's going to affect your relationships with all these other kids. Because it's such a high-class school, this is going to be something that follows him for the rest of his life in these circles. That is, if he does choose to remain in these high-class circles. I don't think you did the right thing here, OP. I think you're the a-hole for getting the dad involved. You're a teacher, and it's your job to do this within the classroom. You humiliated him when it was unnecessary. You're the a-hole. And the father is too. I don't think that humiliation is an effective teaching tool. It's concerning that this is the first strategy the father suggested. I can't help but wonder what discipline is like in the home. There are many other ways that you could have worked with the parents to help this child understand why his behavior was inappropriate. 2 full-grown adults making a 10-year-old cry should not have been one of them. Thank you for saying this. I thought I was losing my mind reading the other comments about how this was acceptable. A child was humiliated in front of his teacher and classmates by his parents. How is that okay? OP and the father have completely failed that kid. OP, you're the a-hole. I think maybe the sitting in class would be one thing, but bossing, micromanaging, and snapping, not okay at all, and distracting. Everyone sucks here except the child. The kid is learning from those around him. Discipline shouldn't involve humiliation and alienation, and doing so usually just makes the kid into bigger a-holes than they were before. Seriously, there are more things a parent can do at home to screw their kid up than spoil him. If the dad is willing to effectively bully the kid in front of his peers until he cries multiple times, then how the hell does he treat him behind closed doors? This teacher should be ashamed of themselves for letting this play out for an entire day without saying something. The kid was let down. I was Calvin, class clown, very early ADHD diagnosis, emphasis on hyperactivity. 5th grade, I almost stabbed my teacher running with scissors, and somehow always managed to get into disagreements with the other kids. I was not spoiled, but instead beaten at home heavily. Mr. Stewart, my teacher at the time, took a similar approach to yours. Very punitive, and I got blamed for everything. He even told my mother I wouldn't graduate from high school. You know, I'll never forget it. That shame I internalized from such formative years is something that has limited my potential and I will have to work on for the rest of my life. I am somewhat successful overall, but my self-esteem is crap. True life satisfaction often seems so far from reach. Shame on you for shaming children. Shame on you for judging them instead of attempting to understand these kids and the roots leading to behaviors. Everyone sucks here except for Calvin. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enable me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.